Thinking it over, the things you said to me. Started with something, with nothing, now we leave. So you were with me for a while, but now you're gone. And you know, wherever you go, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind. Starting all over, too many times we tried, pulling us under, our time's been swept aside. So you were with me for a while, but now you're gone. And you know, wherever you go, I'm not far behind. I'm not far behind.
M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles. The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on there, peeps? Matty Rock here. We are in the dungeon. We got AA, Andrew Anderson. We got the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, and special guest, my brother from another mother.
Oh, boy.
Actor, the Dr. Tony Cucci. What up there, baby?
What's up, man? I'm so happy to come and join the group, man. It's nice to be around with some legends over here. That's pretty cool.
Love you. Legend, the guy that wrote that, David Chase.
Yeah, David Chase, right.
His father-in-law used to come to my gym that I owned, and I used to train him.
Really?
You know his father-in-law's house was designed by the woman that designed the Vietnam Memorial.
Really?
In Springfield, Massachusetts. Plus,
Wow, that's a good trivia there, man. Wow.
And back in those days, he lived in the winter in Islamorada, the Keys, where I did.
Oh, Almirada, yeah. My friend lives down there, man. It's beautiful down there.
Yeah, and
Good fishing, baby.
We were talking one day, and he said, "Can you imagine my son-in-law going in there and pitching them a mob series where the guy's going to a psychiatrist? They looked at him like he had three heads. I mean, you got huge.
It became huge. I mean, it's like I always say to people, I didn't have a large role, but I'd like to have. It's great to have a small role and a big piece of history. I always used to say.
Well, listen, you were head in the fridge. That's all I got to say.
Well, plus I felt almost like a wrestler or a stunt guy because I was banged around for. We shot that thing. It took 5 days to shoot that one scene where they kill me.
Wow.
And I had this Kevlar vest made. Like David Chase didn't want to use like a retractable knife, so they were hitting me like with a real dulled down. But I had all the Kevlar, the body thing, and they put all this, they made me look heavier than I was.
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, I was throwing myself back on this table, take after take. And the first take that we did, they didn't have all breakaway glass on the table. There was a pitcher, and it was a real heavy glass pitcher. And when I threw myself back on the table, they were supposed to throw me, but I basically threw myself. I mean,
Wow.
I go bam, and it knocked me out. I was unconscious. It literally knocked the wind out of me and knocked me out. And they're laying there, and they had like a medic on staff there, And they came and they go, okay, cut. And I don't hear any of this because I'm out. And they're like, great. And everybody's applauding, like, okay, that was the first. We're gonna have to do this over to change my clothes every time. and I wasn't getting off the table. Everybody's like, so they're all like, what's going on with the big guy on the table there, you know? And finally, they gave me the smelling salts. I came around, and they realized the prop guy felt so bad. He's like, "Oh my God, I don't know." I mean, you know, you look what happened with Alec Baldwin. Thank God I didn't have a situation like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, when you do stuff like that, hey, look, even the stuff you guys do in the ring. I mean, I've seen documentaries, man. People knocking their shoulders out, and they still going through a whole fight somehow. I mean, it's insane, man. But that was my little. I mean, we did a bunch of takes after that, and I remember getting out of bed, and I mean, you wrestlers, you guys must have bruises all over the place too. But my wife saw me go to the bathroom, and she said, "Tony, you're completely black and blue from the back of your leg all the way down to your calf," because I was hitting that table every time. And you know, when you're in the moment, you're going through it. And these guys, and the other two guys in the scene too, like what was his name? Stephen Van Zandt, and my friend Arthur that played the Carlo. I knew him. He was an ex-New York City cop years ago too. And you know, when they you know, you rehearse it, and it's just like wrestling, I guess. You know, you rehearse it a little bit, but then the bell rings, and some guys lose their fucking minds, though, you know. And they started punching me with that knife, and I was like, "Whoa, man, this was getting too real," and you know, and it worked out. I mean, I made it through. But thank God for that Kevlar. I had all the little marks on me, almost like bullet holes, like from where he was stabbing me with the knife.
That's crazy. Cool. When I did Gotham, when I filmed Gotham.
Hey, Andrew, can I interrupt for a second?
Go ahead.
Before I forget. Tony, not trying to put you on the spot or anything. When you mention Alex Baldwin, how does a live gun get on the set?
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, I've been in the business 30-something years, too, as an actor. And I've used guns. I've used machine guns. I've used shotguns. I've used handguns. There's a procedure you go through. Look, they skipped a lot of steps on that set, from what I understand. You know, you got a gunsmith on the set. You got the prop guy. They never hand you a gun without showing you it's not loaded or it's loaded with squibs, and they'll say, you know, fire in the hole and all this jazz. I don't know how that happened. I mean, and for him to say he didn't fire it, I mean, that kind of gun, that old-time gun, once you pull that hammer back, you can't let the hammer go. Once you cock it back, you have to depress the trigger a little bit to even get it to go back and not fire. So it's like a hair trigger. All you had to do was just touch it, and the thing probably fired, you know. But I had a live round is unbelievable. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of movies in front of a bullet and or a gun, but you're never really firing directly at. You know, they do everything with camera angles. You know, so
right.
Yeah, you guys know the same thing with wrestling. Well, we don't do things with angles and stuff, so you don't see all the punches and stuff. You know, so you could play it off a little.
Use squibs, Gotham.
Yeah,
we didn't even use squibs on Gotham. Blood was CGI'd in.
Oh, really?
You know?
Wow,
and
that's pretty amazing. See, me, I was all squibbed up, man. Like when I got stabbed, they were just like lighting all that stuff off. You know, that's why I literally had to change a full wardrobe every time we did the take. So they had to have 10 jackets, 10 shirts. They had to clean me up. It took a long time in between each setup.
I filmed my scenes for Gotham, and I was one of the biker demons over there that was fighting the Catwoman and Tabitha. And I tell you, I had something similar to you, experience similar to you. We filmed 40 takes on me literally getting shot and taking a bump, landing off my feet and landing on my back on a concrete floor. All I had on was a leather jacket.
Did they have a pad?
They didn't even have a pad.
Whoa.
A slight bit underneath the biker jacket. I had a piece of cushioning, almost like, you know, one of those ass pads you put on computer chairs.
Right. Yeah, football player, like for your toxic bone. Yeah.
But sort of like that. It was like a foam, like the foamy on the mattress.
Right.
You know, on those memory. It did shit, but I took 40 bumps, maybe 45, and the one that they wound up using, they did 2 takes where I get shot and land on the back of 57 Chevy and slide down. The easiest bumps I took.
Oh,
in
wow.
the middle of this, I took 2 of them. One of those made the scene. So the other 41s, I always say the other 43 shots that I did, the takes that I did on that, took like a year off my life. You know,
oh, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, that does all the stuff you guys do in the ring, man. That stuff's taking years off your life, man. God bless you, man.
I have never been that beat up in my life, not even in the ring. I used to dive every night off a steel cage, off the top, and land. And for about a week straight, I did it all over, up and down the East Coast. Wow. And I never had that kind of pain like I did on Gotham. because I took 40, 43, 44 bumps on concrete.
I was
And-
just, yeah, I was
You
glad
could tell
we
he
did all
told
the
that story a lot
dialogue.
because Kevin ran away. How many times has Kevin heard that story? Because he just got up and
He
he
just
got the
got
hell
up.
out of Dodge.
He went and got a cigar and a bourbon, you know, and just come
Kevin
back.
Kevin had a
I've
bourbon,
heard
smoked
that
2
story.
cigars.
Be happy
I've
you
heard
didn't take
that story.
he didn't take a pee right now while he's on the show because
No.
he probably had to run to the bathroom.
Yeah, I did that before I came on, just to make sure.
I heard that story. Hey, is Gotham still running, Andrew?
No, Gotham went off. The last episode was the last season was season 5 in 2019.
Yeah, I never got on that show, man. That was a cool show too.
It was a
I
lot of
tell
fun
you,
to do.
That 57 Chevy must have taken a beating, man. When you hit that, you must have dented that
Bro.
fender up, huh?
Tony, you put it this way: that the place where we filmed it, the chop shop we filmed it in, every bump I took, the concrete floor was cracked at the end of the show.
Yeah, the floor was happy that you were friggin' done.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god,
Floor was like, yeah, all right, we had enough.
that was a great show. But you know, they had my hair spiked up. I looked more like Johnny Bravo than Andrew Anderson.
Oh man, God
Hey.
bless.
Everybody was in makeup. The makeup they did for that series was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, that was
hairstyles. It was all about big hair.
the stuff they do in television today were films back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the computer changed everything in the business, you know, like you said, they added the blood later. I mean, you see, even Sopranos, you started out on the series and it was 4:3 and then it became widescreen. You know, the evolution has just been so dramatic in the last few years. I mean, you watch TV shows. I was saying this to my wife the other night, my daughter, we're watching some movie. I forgot what it was, but I said, no, it was a TV show. And I said, this is like a Bond movie now. Now they can do stuff that they couldn't, that, you know, you had to set explosives. You had to have 100 extras, 1,000 extras or whatever, you know, you had to have mountains. Now they can just put all of this stuff in. That's why I'm saying Alec Baldwin with this gun thing too. I mean, they could put muzzle flash in. They could put.
It didn't have to happen.
It didn't have to happen. And
When you cut corners, it's right. It's like any other job. If you cut corners, sooner or later you're gonna pay for it. And you know,
on union movies, there's people that, you know, are hired to do specific things, and in the end, it's for safety purposes, and you can understand why they have those things. You know, I mean, the wrestlers, you guys must have safety stuff there, right? You have all professionals ready to jump in, and if anybody got forbid did a fall or something and got hurt.
Sometimes, like WWE and AEW, they have that, but the independent scene where me and Kevin are currently on really doesn't have much of that.
Wow, really?
So, yeah,
There's always, you know, people would be there if you've hurt yourself, but in an ambulance usually.
Right,
But,
right.
you know, I certainly would like to have a good doctor there rather than.
man.
You know,
What was I
Medic.
watching? I was watching the last year of The Undertaker or something, and it
Yeah.
showed how he had to come back. I mean, I can't believe the surgeries that dude had on his knees, his shoulder, and he was still able to get in the ring and do all of that stuff when the doctors were like, I mean, you have to have a certain mindset. I mean, and you know, I guess you would consider him a giant in the business too. I mean, but I mean, to see the way he opened a training center so he could do his own workouts and work his way back. I mean, it's almost like a movie in itself, a Rocky type movie too. You know, I mean,
his career parallel with Rocky, absolutely. His career was definitely a parallel to Rocky in and of its own way. It was almost like that last Rocky movie where Stallone came back and fought the young kid.
Right.
So, you know, but Tony, tell us about what you're doing now. I mean, you just did the Sopranos con. You had a great time at Sopranos con.
That was great. Well, recently I shot a film called Coco. And it's I played Carmine Frangiolini, this mob boss, you know, and I had to shave and everything, and it was really good. We shot it in the New York area. It's in post-production now, and this girl Jody Mataro was the writer and co-director, and actually another guy from Sopranos, John, what's his name? John Bianco. John Bianco. He was one of the guys.
John Bianco. He was in my scenes in Gotham with me. Great guy.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. I've known him a long time, but he actually co-directed this movie. He co-directed.
He's a great dude. John's a good guy. Good friend.
Oh well, plus he like me. I had a cinematography background too. I instead of waiting tables as an actor, I always shot video. You know, I did. You know, I had my own editing setup, my own cameras, and all that jazz. I'm kind of moving on from it now because to do long days of shooting, a lot of things. I'm 61 now. I got a bum knee, it's tough to be on your feet long hours,
Dude,
But,
you don't look 41, bro. You look 41. You look great.
oh, thank you, man. I'm so gray now. I remember when my hair had color.
Baby, for men. Just for men. That's what it's for.
I know, man. That's what that's what a lot of people say, I don't know. I'm just going natural for now. I always say to people on a movie, like when I had to actually do a Zoom call for the audition for that film, but I met the producers at Sopranos. It's funny. See, like when you do shows, like you're talking about, like the one you just mentioned before, the, what's the one you said you could maybe get me a look at?
Chiller.
Oh, the Chiller, right. You meet people. It's amazing how you look. Like I'm meeting you guys now. You meet people when you're out there and about, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. Down at Sopranos, these two producers approached me and they said, we saw you and blah, blah, blah. We got a role. We think you'd be right for. Would you be? I said, yeah, man, send me the script. They sent me the script. I read it. It was well written. It's a cute comedy. It's like a crazy, like one night in New York City kind of thing where all this shit happens. And this girl's opening a bakery and she makes a cake, and the more cake you eat, the more weight you lose. So it's kind of a touch on that kind of thing. That's where Coco, the title, comes in, because it's made a chocolate cake. But I talked to her. She was in LA. I met these guys at SopranoCon, and in October, November, I was shooting this thing. So I had a nice little lead part, and we shot at Lena's restaurant a couple of times. We shot in Jersey City. They shot in New York. They shot all over the place. But it was cool. It was nice.
Tony, I have a question. Did you ever imagine the Sopranos would become an institution when you were first doing it?
Well, I came on in the last season. So by the time I came on, it was already, see, I had auditioned for Sopranos from the beginning. Even the role Bobby Bacala, the big guy, I had auditioned for that part. And then I had auditioned for, there was a part of like an Elvis impersonator. I didn't get that. And finally I told my agent, I said, look, I don't want to go up for anything small. Try to send me up for something that's good, And so when this came up, I remember it was before Christmas. My daughter was young. I took her to see Santa Claus. I had auditioned for it. And we were in Macy's, and she's getting ready to jump on Santa's lap to take a picture. And my phone rings, and it was my agent. And they said, hey, Tony, hey. I said, what's going on, man? And they said, you got an early Christmas gift. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says, you got the gig on The Sopranos. You're going to play, Fat Dom. And I said, oh my God, it was like a cool thing. And so automatically I'm thinking like, oh man, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to get some cash, man. The money's going to come rolling. I got this role. And I remember going to the reading for the first reading of the first script. And I get to Silver Cup Studio in Queens, and I'm sitting in my car and I'm saying to myself, oh, this is the moment. I've been waiting 10 years to get on this show. And I said, geez, but the only thing is, I hope they don't kill me off. And I go in and I see my friend Arthur, one of the guys that's going to stab me, right? He's like, sweetheart, how you doing, sweetheart? What's going on? You finally made it to the big show, sweetheart. And I said, Arthur, how are you? He goes, I'm sorry to see what happens, though. And I didn't read the script yet, because they're very secretive about their scripts. They don't give them out. You got to sign in, you get the script, and then you give it back to them at the end, right? And then you only get your scenes. So, excuse me. So I sit down and everybody's there, full cast, Gandolfini, everybody's at the big table, and we read through the first script, and then we read through the second script, and we read the third script. I'm like, 3 fucking shows, and I realize I get killed, and I'm like fucking depressed. I'm sitting there at the table, everybody gets up at the end, everybody's getting coffee, and I'm just sitting there like dejected, and all of a sudden David Chase comes over to me, and he says, what's the matter? And I said, well, Mr. Chase, I've been trying to get on this show for 10 years. I finally get here, and you're killing me off in 3 episodes. And he said, yeah, but it's going to be memorable. And, and it was, man. It was a memorable thing. I mean, Entertainment Weekly, it voted it like the 8th best death scene on the show. So like I said.
Look, I see right there in the background, I see that head. I see the head.
Yeah, it's over there. It's over there. If you could see, like it's in the back.
Right there. There's the head.
And there's me and Gandolfini. These are a couple pictures. I have all this shit. I'm jammed in my room here.
I have another question. Was the Baba Bingo, the strip joint, was that a real place?
Oh no, it is a real place in Jersey.
Satin Dolls, baby. Satin Dolls.
Yeah, it's called Satin Dolls. Right. but they recreated it also at Silver Cup Studios. So the interiors in the back office were on the soundstage. I think for the first year or two, they shot over there, but then it was just too much. When the show became famous, the people were showing up, there's noise, you know, so they needed to really, just like where I get killed, the back of the Satriali's Bakery too. That was originally done on scene in Newark, and then they changed it and put the interiors at the studio. And when you watch that scene, it's funny too, because he knocks on the door. That was done 2 weeks before, and then he comes into the place and they cut to the shots in the studio. I mean, the movie magic. It's all movie magic. So yeah, man, it was but
it's
like
don't realize how it's piecemealed together, you know.
oh yeah,
They
that's what I'm
think,
saying.
you know, a lot of shot on a Monday, and then on a Monday in October, and then the rest of the scenes are shot at a Wednesday in November, and it's all pieced together for an episode.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
the thing about the whole acting gig in films and TV is that you might start with the last scene of the movie and then work your way to the front. So you always got to kind of know, you know, where you're coming from, where you're going to, and you know what happened before this scene, what's going to happen after. But that's the little bullshit about the acting that's kind of cool, because when you're developing a little bit of a character. But then again, TV, they move so fast. Sometimes, I mean, I've done Law and Orders where you just got to know your lines, man, because they're just, you know, it's like when I worked with Mariska Hargitay on Law and Order, I worked with her a couple times, and it's just the show. They just do it every day, and they're in the streets in New York, and there's distractions everywhere, but they just, she described it as you're jumping on a subway train that's just moving 100 miles an hour. You stop, you get on, you do your thing, and you get off.
Yeah,
That's really what it is. I mean, it's TV. They don't have a lot of time. I mean, although Sopranos at the end, they took almost 2 weeks to shoot one episode.
Wow.
In the beginning, they only did it in 5 days, but then as the shows got more intricate and more elaborate, they did a lot. I mean,
Production and everything else. Yeah.
yeah,
Production value goes. Whoop.
I mean, we shot.
Hold on there, Andrew. We need to take a quick break so we could hear from our sponsors. So catch you back in about 30 seconds.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
Did they?
right.
I mean, is it, in
Well,
my mind, it's left up to your imagination, whatever you want it
Well,
to be.
yeah, I mean, I even remember watching it that night too, and then all of a sudden it blacks out. I thought my cable, everybody thought the cable went out or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But even David Chase in his later years now, he has admitted, like, he wanted to leave it open, and it did just create this buzz that was crazy. I mean, everybody was like, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? Everybody always asks that question. And David Chase, I think, finally came to the point where he said, that's it. He died. It's over. Because the lights went out, and he said, that's how it is when you get, and he even talked about, they shot 2 or 3 different endings, I think, too. So in one ending, he does get killed, and but then it was too obvious. So they just left it to this mysterious guy coming out of the bathroom with the members only jacket or whatever it was, you know, and then blackout. And I think, you know, he talked about, there was a scene between him and Bacala when they were staying at the cabin, and they were talking about, when do you think you're going to get it?
Right.
And they always said, you're never going to know. It's just going to be over. And
You're right.
Bobby got killed with the train set too, right? It was just looking at the train, boom, he was dead.
Right.
So in my opinion, that's it.
The only other thing I could have thought about was, did they shoot it like that in the back of his mind? I mean, they had the run of all runs, but in the back of his mind, did he think, well, I could leave this open-ended in case I want to come back? Or...
I guess. I mean, because they did talk about doing like a regular movie, you know. I mean, originally it was supposed to be a movie. From what I understand, The Sopranos was supposed to be like an hour and a half, 2-hour movie. But it got rejected by so many studios. And then finally, when HBO bought it, they said, we're going to make it as a show. And in the beginning, they didn't have to pay everybody a lot of money because a lot of people were unknown on the show.
Right.
And then it just exploded. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, I saw the Many Saints of Newark, the prequel,
Right.
and I don't know. I just think they
dropped the ball with that.
they totally dropped the ball. I mean, some of the characters. I mean, look, I'm an actor. I don't want to judge anybody else, but some of it was just caricatures of the guys that really made the show.
Mhm.
And the storyline, he tried to pack in so much stuff in so little time. And the whole Newark riots and the whole thing of the early 60s. I mean, it meandered, I thought, a little bit. It didn't have I think it could have been done a lot better. I forget.
It didn't feel authentic. I know what you're saying. When you watch
Yeah,
it,
it just
it
didn't
didn't
feel
feel
yeah.
authentic. It felt a little forced. Yep.
It felt forced, and I saw some other movie the other day, and I said to my wife, "Wow, oh no, oh geez, there's a show that was on Showtime, and it was about a guy who was I can't remember the actor's name now. He does all the voiceover work for HBO too. The boxing, he does the voiceovers. I can't remember the name, but the show went off the air on Showtime. It was about a guy who lived in Hollywood. He was from Boston, but people he was a fixer. The guy was doing drugs. The girl died in the apartment.
Yeah. Ray Donovan.
Ray Donovan. If you guys haven't seen Ray Donovan, they did a movie. A movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's on Showtime. You got to you can probably get it on pay-per-view or whatever. I said to my wife when I saw this, I said, "Oh my God." I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about it because I love the show so much. I thought he was great.
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber. Unbelievable. Terrific. And that was an opportunity they had. They summed it up beautiful. I don't want to give anything away because you guys can check it out. But when you watch this, you go, wow, Sopranos should have done something like this to wrap up the whole fucking story.
Wow.
They really wrapped it up and gave it to you in a bow. And I left that night after I watched that. I said, wow. I was pissed when they took it off the air because they just kind of ended it, it kind of his kid went off to war and the daughter and the boyfriend, and they just fucking put it. And first I thought it was going to be like a prequel thing, like Sopranos did, and they did show flashbacks. See, they did flashback things, but then they came right back to the real characters. So it made that so much more believable, and it really told you how Ray Donovan even got into the movie business, how he got into it. I'm telling you, you got to check it out. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I was a big fan of Liev Schreiber.
I love Liev Schreiber, but I still say that in that Wolverine movie, I should have played Sabretooth and not him.
Oh, well, I never saw that, so I can't judge. I can't judge.
I would have seen that just to watch Andrew climb up a wall. I pay coin for that.
Oh,
He didn't climb up a wall either. It was all CGI, pal.
No. In this case, we're gonna watch you climbing up walls. I need to see that shit.
They just put you in a blue suit and throw you out there. They just make everything happen, I guess, or whatever.
I always said if they want to get a Sabretooth, I am still the person to play Sabretooth. I could still play Victor Creed. So
I'd throw my hat in the ring on that for you. Hey, Cucci, something I was talking about too. I know you have your show them the shirt that you have for me, and also let them know where they can buy those or how they could reach you on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Show them the shirt with the head, Cooch.
Oh, me? You talking to me? Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
Kind of cool. I don't know if you could see. It's kind of like with the lighting in here and everything.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
this is definitely. It was the likeness of the head, which is sitting over there. It's a great conversation piece. I've had picnics and people can you bring the head? We want to see
Coming
the
to the
head.
bench, right? We're gonna have the head at the bench.
Well,
That's
the funny
awesome.
thing is when they made this head, they made 10 of them. And a lot of them got destroyed on the show because they kick them down the sewer, and this was like I think they had 2 hero heads, they call them the heroes, the nice ones. But I remember I had to go out to Jersey, not too far from where Morton's is over there. What is that, Hackensack? over there?
Hackensack, yep.
The guy was over there, the guy that did all of the prosthetic, and he did Van Helsing. His basement had all these heads like the Van Helsing, all the vampire shit. It was fucking awesome. So I had to get the plaster Paris done of my skull. And he says to me, they put the bald cap on you and all that stuff. And he says, you're not claustrophobic by any means, are you? And I said, well, I don't know. He goes, well, I guess we're going to find out because you're going to be in this thing for about an hour. He said, so we'll put on some
Wow.
music, and they started to wrap the gauze around me, and the sound just went away. Like all of a sudden, I couldn't hear anything, and they put the
Wow.
straws up my nose to breathe, and it was a little fucking weird. It was a little like by the time I got out of there, and he cut me out, I was like ready to get out. But a couple of weeks later, he calls me back, and he says, "Listen, you want to come and check it out, see how we developed it?" And I couldn't believe when I saw this friggin' thing. I mean, he had 10 of them. I got pictures somewhere too. I should have prepared, but I took pictures with like all the heads, and like bald heads, and then didn't put some of the hair in yet. And then the first day I show up to work on Sopranos, they put the head in my dressing room. Like I opened the door and it scared the shit out of me. I saw like a head on the table right in front of me. It was very weird. It was weird, but it was cool.
You're looking in the Cucci Orchestra. You should have put that up.
It's crazy. But I said to the guy, I said, "Listen, can I get one of these heads? Like when this thing is over?" And he's like, "David Chase, even Joe Pantoliano, when they cut his head off and they put it in the bowling bag, he wanted to get one. He didn't even get one." I said, "Oh, all right, forget it. I just thought I'd ask, And he goes, "Yeah, they're expensive to make, and we made 10 of them." But anyway, so the show wraps, and I go to the Christmas party. I get invited, and I'm at the bar, and the prop guy's there, and he sees me, and he goes, "Hey, bro, how you?" And I said, "What's going on, man? How you doing?" He goes, "You still want one of the heads?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, if I can get one, sure." He goes, "I got to go to LA. I'm doing something in LA. When I get back, give me your address." So I wrote my address down on a cocktail napkin, thinking I'm never going to hear from him again. And sure enough, man, a couple of weeks later, I get a UPS box, and my daughter was small. And we put it on the kitchen table, and I pulled my head out. My daughter screamed, ran into the other room, and it was crazy. I'm like,
Merry Christmas.
My head was on the kitchen table, And that's it, man. And I said, "Well, I can't believe I got one," and then it's funny because it has turned into the conversation piece. Whenever I do like a signing thing or something, I always bring it, and people are flipped out. They want to take a picture with the head. They don't want my picture. Just take a picture with the head. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
That's fabulous.
Just a little funny anecdotal story that I never thought I was going to get one, and then I got one. And then it's crazy because people come up to me and they want to buy the head, and I'm like, it's kind of a piece of history for me. But I mean, I guess if somebody gave me a really good number, I would just,
you should donate it to the Smithsonian.
Well, I'm sure he's got one, and maybe I got the other one because they destroyed a lot of them. They had a lot of the props and stuff. When Sopranos, I remember when Sopranos was ending, they gave us a call and they said, "You want to come in?" Because you couldn't take any of your wardrobe, you couldn't take anything. And then they said, "You want to come and get your wardrobe?" And I went over there and I picked up a couple things that I wore, but it was crazy. It was like you could have taken anything you wanted, And one guy, Jeff Marchetti, he was a great guy. He was one of the producer. He worked on the set. He was good friends with Jimmy Gandolfini. He bought a lot of stuff. And then at the first Soprano Con, he had a whole display of all the clothes that all the characters wore. And that shit's worth a lot of money now. People will pay a lot of money for a shirt with blood all over it. That fat Dom.
Well, at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, when I was filming Gotham, they actually itemized everything that they spit me in wardrobe.
Wow.
They itemized everything in the wardrobe thing. They made sure everything. And when I gave it all back in the trailers, they literally had a checklist. They want to know everything.
I do remember our good friend. We all love Gene, the shirt guy. So Gene will tell you he's done all this. He's done stuff for HBO and Broadway and everything else. And yeah, man, that stuff that people don't leave unless that stuff gets checked back in. So
I'm still waiting for Gene to make my custom.
Gene, if you're listening, I keep telling him that you're called the shirt guy because you're a shirt guy, but he wants a robe. So I'm going to bring you out to the show, Gene, and you can tell this mook yourself that you're the shirt guy, not the robe guy. Not the fancy suit guy.
Matty, look what I have here, Matty.
He's got the acid water tower babies that had the acid coupe.
I love these acid cigars, man. That Matty, he got me hooked on these, man. I love the flavor, the texture and stuff of all of them. I got it right here on my computer. I got it right here.
That's pretty much Drew will smoke those into box. Those are his babies.
That's all I'll smoke.
Oh, really, man? You like the acids too?
The acids, because the Cubans, the real Cubans that I got from Cuba, the Cohibas and the Habaneros, they turn me green.
They're really strong, man. Right? Yeah.
I'm down for me,
Yeah, I know. Sometimes that's the kid, but
left over.
Any cigar, like even Matty got those. What was it, Matty? You got me the one from the Pope of Greenwich Village. Remember you got those?
Yeah, the Pope of Greenwich Village. So basically that's like a cranked up undercrown. So yeah, you're like, it's good, but it's strong. You're just like, woo.
No, that shit. I remember when I started smoking cigars with Matty and Glenn. Glenn got me started, and Matty put me over the edge. I mean, it's just like you can get high smoking a cigar. I never realized because it can be like powerful. Like if you don't smoke all the time. I mean, I was mostly an athlete, pretty clean living most of my life, but now I'm turning into a degenerate, and I like to smoke cigars now.
Well, look, you're not the only one who got their ass kicked. Drew will tell you he's with a whole bunch of the boys, and Sanj messed these guys up, man. All these big bad badasses all turned green. Tell him, Drew.
Yeah, me, Sam Houston, Tokyo Monster. We just started smoking, and Hammer, Greg Valentine. We all started smoking cigars. Sanj goes, smoke these, they're better. And he's laughing. He's got that smirk on his face because none of us really smoked cigars at the time. But
Right.
within an hour, we were all fucking green. I never saw a Japanese guy turn yellow before. So he turned yellow before he literally turned yellow. Tokyo Monster turned yellow. I turned green. I think Sam Houston was the only one because he's a shit kicking cowboy. He was legit. So
What did he give you to smoke? Like some of the like Sanj specials or what? I mean,
oh, they were actual. Which one were they, Matt?
I think he gave you Perdomos, but he gave you strong ones.
Strong ones.
He gave you some. It wasn't like smoking shop Perdomo champagne. These are strong. It's not like so. Sanj has something that he just put out now called the SP 1014 that Drew can smoke because it's smooth and it's medium. But he gave him some strong ass stuff. So Sanj's stuff you could smoke no problem. Even smoke the hell out of those.
Put some in a thing for me tomorrow so I can bring them to Kevin on Friday.
We got to bring some in. Then when we hit the bench next week, Cooch, I'm going to bring. So Sanj just worked on that new project when you were in the shop he was telling you about. So it's a SP 1014. So all Dominican Puro.
I'll probably pay a visit to the bench if Cooch goes to the bench.
oh yeah, definitely, man. Drew,
You know what? This move
you
don't go to.
live in Jersey?
I'm in Ridgefield.
Oh, okay, you're right over there, man. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
see,
so
the fucking gas prices now are ridiculous now.
It's
ridiculous.
unbelievable, right? Crazy, right?
hey, I'm getting a horse.
Even my- yeah.
Hey,
Even my
Kevin, what
daughter.
are the gas prices in Washington, Kevin?
On the island, they're $4.69.
Yeah, my daughter paid something like that in Jersey today when she works at Montefiore Hospital in Jersey. Actually, right down the street from Sanj. Actually, my daughter works there. And because when I was talking to Sanj the time I was there, he says, "Oh, Mountainside, it's right up the hill here. I get all the doctors. They come down and buy the cigars."
Yep.
Hey, Tony, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save you a bunch of Cohibas. I got a couple of Cohibas for you. I'm going to bring them, put them in a bag. Maddie's got to give me some of those the gel packs, so I'll just give them to Matt. Matt will bring them to you.
Oh, great, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Deal.
I'd love to
Now,
hang
guys,
out with
before
you guys.
my
We're
brain
still
melts,
attempting.
before my brain melts, two important things. Cooch, number one, they can hit you on Instagram and Twitter if they want to buy the shirts, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, so ladies and
Tony
gents,
Cucci.
if you're looking to
Tony
buy
Cucci.
those, Tony Cucci on there. And also, before I forget, I know AA and Kevin, you guys are going to be on the road. So give a shout out and let everyone know where you guys are going to be the next couple of weeks, huh?
Well, we're going to be this weekend on this Saturday. We're going to be in Chicoloth, Ohio for big time wrestling for Dylan Hines and Bobby Fulton. They're running a wrestling reunion up in Ohio, and we're going to be there. And from what I understand, Kevin's managing me, and we're wrestling against Sam Houston, our old buddy, singing Sam, dancing Sam. And then
Follow the butterfly.
the
Patty,
following
when these
weekend, I'm
guys are
gonna be-
local, man, I want to come. I got to get to. I've never been to a actual wrestling.
Don,
convention.
we'll bring you in there. 100%.
Oh man, I'd love to check that out, man. As an actor too, I'm like always like looking at stuff, you know.
It's a lot of people who have never seen it. They come back, they're hooked. You know,
yeah.
Or you don't, you know.
I got
So-
two friends of mine. They're completely like hooked, man. They're on the WWE thing. He's the one who told me about the Undertaker documentary. You got to check it out because it was done so well. Blah blah blah. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've never really followed it per se, but when you see what guys have gone through, and you see some guys that have passed away and died, and I mean, the history of
sad.
I mean, my father-in-law, when I first met my wife, I mean, he was like Bruno Sammartino was like the idol to these guys, the old timers.
Right.
But he used to watch wrestling. I used to watch my father-in-law, who was from Calabria, Italy. He used to be moving on the couch like he was actually throwing the punches. And I said to my wife, I said to Tina, man, your father, he's really going for this shit in there, huh? They got the paper. He used to pay-per-view all the time.
Papa San Martino, huh?
Well, he was into wrestling. He loved, like, he didn't like football. He didn't like any American sports, but the wrestling, that was his deal, man. And he just, I would love watching him, how he would, he was literally.
But you know what? That's what it was about, Tony. Tony, that's what it was about. Suspension of belief, you know?
I
And
know.
those were the fans that you can't nowadays. The last thing they've seen it all. Fans have seen it all. The wrestling fan now has seen it all.
Well,
What's
they
left
gave
to
away
do?
all the secrets, like, you know.
You know, now they got to bring a kitchen sink in the ring, literally. You know, I hate to say it. They've done everything. And the athletes are fucking amazing now. Better than me and Kevin ever were, right, Kev?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all these athletes. I saw where Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seahawks, just got traded.
Yeah, I saw that.
He spends $1 million a year on food and food supplements. He has a chef at his house.
Well, that's it. What, like I always say to my wife, I'd love to be that kind of wealthy where you can have the trainer waking you up at 5 a.m. You come back, your protein meal's ready. You go do some business. Then you got your protein meal ready after that. I mean, like Stallone. I mean, Stallone too. He cornered the market on all of that shit. He knew how to, you know, and he got it from Franco Colombo, and he got it from all those other guys back in the day too. You know, so
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, The Rock now is definitely
The Rock. He's got the Iron Paradise he works out of. I mean, you know what it is today, Drew? It's just amazing how you can become a cottage industry today.
Yeah.
You know, and like Matty, you know, he said to me a long time, you know, why I don't have more of a presence online and all. It really is, you really gotta, that's the thing today, because you are the product, basically. You know, you are.
Tony, I think we need to really hit this as a brainchild together. We really got to come up with something. I think with me, you, Matty, and Kevin, I think we'd come up with something.
Oh yeah, man. I'm telling you.
That's what I've been saying.
I'm in this you know, chapter of my life now. I just turned 61, and I'm just like, what's the next thing that I can do? You know, I'm in the process of writing a story about how I kind of got into acting, and you know, because I came through the Chippendale route. So I played a character on stage where I threw the monkeys. You know, it was all core. I didn't know what I was getting into. I worked as a bouncer in a nightclub in the Strawberry Patch in New Jersey years ago. And one night this guy comes in and he says, yeah, I'm here to see Brian, the dancer. We had male dancing when it first became big, right? And I sat him down. I was the maitre d' basically on a Thursday night, and I got him a champagne bottle and set him up. On the way out, he says to me, listen, would you like to audition for me? And I said, I play ball, man. I'm in college. I'm playing football right now. And he said, well, you know, here's my number. Give me a call, and, you know, give me your number. I gave him my number. Never thought I'd hear from him. The next day he calls me. I'm at my father's tavern in Passaic, New Jersey. And he's like, listen, I want you to come over to 61st and 1st tomorrow night. I told people about you. I want to introduce you. And I'm like, well, I got to work at the bar tonight, but I'll see it. I got a replacement. I went over there. And sure enough, I go in, they give me collars and cuffs, and they put me on stage that night. And I was standing in front, and nobody, and see, they had little like models and stuff, right? They didn't have any big guys. Like, I was 23 years old. I was just, you know, had abs, I had everything back then. And I just walked out there and I did a double bicep, and the place went nuts, you know? They didn't see anything. Then I went into it. I started doing all these most muscular poses. I was doing that. And then the fucking maitre d', the guy that's the maitre d', was on roller skates. He's like, they had to yank me off with like the hook, you know, to get me off the stage. It was so intoxicating. You know, you have 500 women losing their minds now. You know what I'm saying? So after the show's over, I go meet the owners upstairs, and they're like, yeah, you know, we'd like you to come back. We got a part for you, the Barbarian, you know? Oh, wait a second. I'm going to show you something. I don't know if you could see this, but this is the Barbarian.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's a picture, man. That's me in my day, you know?
That's
awesome. I mean, I know you,
Does it look like Jack Haynes?
well, see, that's what, see, I had the Steve Reeves look back then.
Yeah,
And nobody at Chippendales at the time, nobody had a beard or anything.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, we see.
And yeah, this was crazy, right? It's funny I'm talking about it because I had the picture here all these years on the shelf.
You had that Hercules Steve Reeves look, yeah.
Right, and they had a guy that was doing it. He was from LA. He was homesick. He hated New York. He didn't like it. So they were looking to replace him 2 months after the club opened on 61st and 1st.
Wow.
So my friend Brian, who had gotten in, was auditioning for them. That's why they came to see him in Jersey that night. And so then I wound up coming to New York with him, and they had tryouts basically. And for 5 days in a row, I came and they showed dance steps, and there was other fucking bodybuilders there, right? But all these guys couldn't move; they were too stiff. And I was a running back. I was a fullback when I played football. So I
Wow.
had agility. I could move around. I was really fluid, pretty fluid compared to any of these guys. Anyway,
Smooth moves, Cucci.
I was just a smooth
moves.
moves. And they had a dance captain. His name was Calvin. He was gay, right? Very nice guy. And I was very homophobic back in the day. I was like this Guido from New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? We didn't hang out in those circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm very woke today, so I got to watch what I say. But so anyway, I meet this guy Calvin, and the first time he meets me, he's like, "Oh, hi, another big stupid asshole that I have to teach to dance." That's what he was thinking. I could see that look.
Yeah,
He didn't have to say it. I saw it. And then by the time it was over, I worked out for like 10 days there. And every day I came back, there was 5 more guys, 5 more guys, 5 more. So finally they said, "Listen, we think you can do it." I said, "Yeah, I think I can do it too." And then they put me through the barbarian training, and they had a death slide. I had to climb the ladder and slide across the club. And it was crazy. I mean, I wound up doing all of this. The funny thing was the first night I actually did the show. When I rehearsed it, there was never any women there.
Wow.
So when I slid down the death slide, my legs were hanging down. So I do it during the show, and I took out like 5 women. I just whacked them right. I just took them out like with my legs. And so I land, and the guy catches me, and I turn around, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. I'm going to buy you all drinks. Don't worry about it." And they were like, "No, don't worry about it. We love you. We love you. It's great. You hit us." It was
That's awesome.
so stupid.
Yay!
But I mean, so I'm kind of writing a script about how all of this shit happened. You know what I'm saying? And because it's like a homophobic kid from New Jersey becomes one of the dance, and then I went all over the world with it. I mean, we went to Japan. I went all over California. We did all these dates, kind of like what you're doing. You go all over the country, and they would set up stages, and we do these little shows, and it was great. I mean, I was young, I was dumb, and full of cum, as they say.
Kevin was actually on Baywatch, right, Kev?
Oh
Yeah.
shit, really?
Yeah, I did it twice.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, we did both times. We played ourselves. I was on with me, Ric Flair,
Oh shit, Ric
Hulk,
Flair, wow.
Hulk Hogan, and this guy named Vader. And the premise was they were trying to save a boys' home, and Vader wrestled Hogan for it. If he won, he was going to demolish the boys' home, you know.
Oh,
So they
wow.
actually had a match that
Really?
was on pay-per-view, and they filmed it then and then put it on pay-per-view. They had Hogan and Vader in a cage. Yeah,
Wow.
that was a hell of an experience.
Oh man, was
I mean-
Pam? I just want to know, was Pam Anderson there? Did you see her?
Yes,
God damn.
yeah. And I mean, the people there were terrific.
Oh
They
yeah.
were terrific. Wasn't Jason Manoa on that show too?
I don't think he was on that show. I don't know if he was, but it wasn't.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was
I don't
back
think-
then.
I don't think he was. Now, a side note, Vader, congratulations to the late Vader, Big Van Vader, Leon White. He's getting inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame finally. So kudos to, post-mortem, still he deserved it. He was
He
a
deserves his
hell
nod to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, sir.
hell of an opponent. Me and him had a lot of knockdown, drag-out fights, and we were a lot of nights him and I tag teamed against the Steiner brothers. So I love Vader.
That's amazing, man. That's an
good
amazing
guy.
thing. And
He
you
just
still
died
here to tell the stories.
3 years ago of heart failure. So
Oh
That-
wow, God bless.
That Baywatch was at one time, and I'm referring to you to give me the truth. Wasn't that the hottest thing in the world? Wasn't it playing
It was the biggest show in the world. It was
Yeah,
the biggest show in the world.
It never stopped playing, they said, because it was playing somewhere. China,
Hoff, the big
Thailand.
Hoff, man. That man, that guy, he hit it with 2 series.
Bro,
He
he's
had-
not. He's always going to be Michael Knight to me, bro. First.
Well, that's what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
man. He's Knight
He
Rider,
had-
dude.
He had Knight Rider and he had Baywatch. I mean, he just
Yep.
walk away after those 2 shows, man.
he
Because
didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to do anything. He was,
Well, and then he became like a celebrity. The Hoff, was the thing, and that he would show up, and he was even in the Baywatch movie they made recently, like with what's his name that you were talking
Rock.
about before.
The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock.
and he still comes out.
Entertaining was-
He did a Super Bowl commercial with Kit, the Knight Rider car.
Right, I remember that.
So occasionally he shows up with the car.
That's what I'm
Sometimes
saying.
still
And
shows
they,
up.
and they pay him the cash. They give him the
Yeah.
cash.
so you know what the hurtful thing is Kevin, the Anderson that Kevin prefers is not Andrew. It sounds like it's probably Pam, buddy. Sorry,
You know-
I had to break it to him, Kev. Had to
Oh
be
man, I
done.
tell you.
You know what? The other thing about him, he was a huge record singer in Germany.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know?
loved him in Germany. He was so
Yeah.
platinum,
Yeah,
on platinum over there.
He was the
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis of Germany. Jerry Lewis
Yeah.
was big in France. Remember, like they say, he was bigger
Right.
there than he was here.
I'm
Yeah.
bigger in Europe. I'm
Yeah.
here.
By far, by far.
Hey,
So this
Hey.
past weekend, Tony, you're gonna find this a little footnote from
What?
a week ago today to Sunday, Wednesday to Sunday. I was personal bodyguard for Ace Frehley from Kiss, and
Oh, man, I love my
The-
brother.
at
My
the
brother
time
and I
of my
loved Kiss growing up, man. It was like our band, you know.
Ace is one of my best friends, and when he asked me to take on the job, he said, "Listen, my Jimmy Crowley, who's a great friend of mine too. He was a former New York cop. He had a back surgery and he couldn't do it anymore. And he's, they both kind of passed the torch to me. He said, listen, he goes, I wouldn't have anybody else watching my back but one of my best friends, and he asked me to do it. And so I had his back, and I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of dates with him coming up. So pretty cool. But this weekend and for the rest of March, I can't do any of the tour, but I think I'm doing the European tour in July from Sweden to Denmark to Oslo, Norway, and back to the
better than
UK.
you. That's awesome, man. That's terrific.
Awesome. Good time, plus you get to see him on stage, and it was great. And he announced me to the crowd. It was pretty cool. I came out. He says to me, I put his robe on when he's done with the main set.
Oh, you do? You give him the James Brown thing,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, this was backstage. And
Okay.
he said, was everything good? Was I on the money? I said, Ace, you were fucking phenomenal. He looks at me, he goes, give me 30 seconds to come out and get the robe. And I was like, what? He goes on stage, he starts revving up the crowd, and then I come out, he gives me the Iggy. I come out, I take the robe off him, and he turns around, stops me, grabs me by the wrist, and looks at me and goes, everybody, world famous wrestler, Andrew Anderson, my brother. And the place popped. It was a great feeling, It was a great feeling.
That's
So
cool, man. That's
it's
those are
pretty
moments.
cool to get that from a rock and roll crowd, a metal crowd, as opposed to wrestling crowd. So, and it was a fun time. It was
So
really
Yeah,
how's-
man, after a shitty 2 years that everybody had, that's the kind of thing that everybody needs to make them fly a little bit. And now, on that note, kids, this was a great episode. We're going to have to wrap it up over here. Much love, brother Cooch. I will see you next week for a smoke.
See you next week, man.
We will see
Tony-
AA. And
Tony, it was wonderful meeting you.
You too. God bless you, man. Good luck on the road.
You too,
Tony,
brother.
much.
all right,
Thank
much
you.
love. We will see y'all.
On
I take a mortgage out to get some gasoline in New York now. So I'll see you guys later.
Much love, guys. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.